Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. So I'm wearing pink today because I'm just feeling like in a spring mood, even though I guess technically it is spring now, which is wonderful. I welcome it completely, but it is pretty cold today. But I do have a few pink items in my wardrobe, so I've just every once in a while will whip it out just to kind of bring up my spirits a little bit because it's been a long winter. It hasn't really been that bad as far as like the weather. It just feels long for some reason. So I'm ready to get out and get more outside with the dogs. Lucky is progressing very well, and we've had to work on her behavior a little bit, but Lily is keeping her in line, and they're both doing great. So I wanted to start off today's video with a little piece of mail. As soon as I saw this in my mailbox, I just said, oh, I love this card so much. So, and the handwriting's really lovely too, but I'm going to show you the card. I love this card. It kind of reminds me of a old-fashioned Disney cartoon, like from the 40s. Not that I was alive then, but that style, like the Snow White years. Okay, so this is lovely. Dear Regina, hi there. I'm just a small fan of yours from Northern New Jersey. There are no such things as small fans, let me just say. Every fan is a big fan, in my opinion. And I just wanted to send you this cute and witchy postcard, as a thank you for the fun content and because it reminded me of you and Batilda. I'm sure Batilda would appreciate it. I certainly do. Thank you. Due to your, God, I can't even read. The handwriting is gorgeous, but I'm just tongue-tied today. Due to you, my to-read list has gotten much longer. Haha. Sincerely, a fan, Patrick. And then check out if you can. Oh, I guess whatever this card is. I will. Thank you so much. That's lovely. I always list my mailing address in all of my videos descriptions, just in case. No pressure. I realize I changed the lighting a little bit in my studio. You might have noticed. Eagle-eyed fans will notice this. I moved the red light over here, like stage left, and my other light stage right, because I felt like there was more light on this side, but now it feels very uneven. So anyway, I'm noticing. Anyway, let's get to the point of this video. So this is an announcement video. The lovely people at the Bookish Bryants invited me to co-host this read-along they are doing in May. There are a lot of booktubers involved. I will link them all below, along with the Bookish Bryants video of their announcement. I kind of got to the table a little late because I've been very busy putting together, and I just met my deadline last night, my new book that's coming out. You know, I read somewhere that it's rude to say, I read it on the internet, not Emily Post, so take it with a grain of salt, but that it's kind of rude to say, well, I've been busy. That's kind of implying that other people aren't busy. I don't know if you agree with that. Let me know in the comments below if you find that rude, because I don't want to be rude, but I have been very busy, and I met the deadline last night. So now I'm finally getting my video out, and a lot of other people have already done their videos, and I haven't even watched them all, but I will, because I really love this idea and I appreciate being invited to play along, and I hope you do as well. So what the heck am I talking about? This is the Horror Mayhem tag, and this is a great little play on words because it's for the month of May. Get it? Horror Mayhem. And if you want to follow, just follow this hashtag and it'll bring you where you need to go. And I'm going to try to come up with a TBR for this, shopping in my own closet, so to speak, by pulling stuff off my own shelf. So we'll see how I do with that. Okay, so what is Horror Mayhem? Well, it's reading horror for the month of May. Now, in this library, I read a lot of horror, and a lot of people who are co-hosting this read-along also read almost exclusively horror, but not everyone. Like Steve Donahue, my friend Steve, he doesn't read that much horror at all that I know. He reads a lot of classics and genre fiction. He's part of it, and many more of my BookTube friends. So if you don't normally read horror, or if you're new to the genre, Horror Mayhem is a great time to kind of dip your toes in and sample some different works. I'm actually really excited about this because I haven't done a TBR for a while. So sometimes it's fun to just make yourself stick with a plan. So number one, week one, supernatural beings or creatures, including cryptids. So when I think of that, I immediately think of like a Hunter Shea novel that I read recently, The Jersey Devil, but I'm going to try to find something in my own shelf that fits this bill, something different. Week number two, Gothic horror, including Dracula. I would probably include Dracula in there too. Definitely has Gothic elements. And I have tons of Gothic romances, but we're looking at Gothic horror. So I'm going to have to think about that a bit, but I'm sure I have something. And week three, cosmic horror. I don't want to do the standard Lovecraft cosmic horror, so I'm going to see if I can come up with something different for that. And then week four is folk horror. And I never ever called anything folk horror until I started hearing it on BookTube. But folk horror would be like, I guess a good example would be like Wicker Man or Midsummer, something that goes back into like an ancient paganism type of horror. Harvest Home, one of my favorite books. But I'm going to try to find something a little different. So I'm going to stop the recording right now and go look and see what I can find among my shelves to fit this bill, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. That actually took me a while because I started going through all my books and I got stuck on one prompt, but I think I found something that fit the bill. I also put my lights back the way they were. I don't know. It's just, I need a stronger light on this side, I think, is what it gets down to, but who cares? All right, so let's see what I found. And I was happy that I found a nice mix of stuff and I didn't have to buy any new books. Not that I'm against that, but I have so many books and like I have to reshelve a lot. I have to unhaul some things. I desperately need to do some spring cleaning, but we'll get there. So the first one was the one I struggled the most finding. I guess I just don't have a lot of, supernatural beings, of course, could be vampires or werewolves, but I kind of got stuck on like the creatures or the cryptids. And I wanted to pick things that I either haven't read or haven't read for a while. So I found a paperback by Brian Keene, and I've read a few of his books, but I have not read this one. And this is called The Conqueror Worms. Post-apocalyptic, blunt, and visceral, said the New York Times. It has a big creature on the cover, so I'm hoping this is what I think it is. But let's take a look. Ooh, Brian Keene is the next Stephen King, says the horror review. Let's see when this came out. I have a feeling this might have been one of his earlier works. 2006. Okay. One day, the rain just didn't stop. As the floodwaters slowly rose and coastal cities and towns disappeared, some people believed it was the end of the world. Maybe they were right, but the water wasn't the worst part. Even more terrifying was what the soaking rains drove up from beneath the earth. Here we go. Unimaginable creatures, writhing, burrowing, and devouring all in their path. What hope does an already devastated mankind have against the conqueror worms? All right, this sounds like it fits the bill perfectly, and it will give me a chance to read one of my, not only Brian Keene books, but one of my many paperbacks from hell that are just sitting on my shelf collecting dust. So that is going in the TBR, and it doesn't look like it's going to take much time to read that book. So I feel good about this. All right, number two, Gothic horror. All right, well, I have been putting this off for so long, and I actually started reading it, and then I just kind of got distracted because it was on my Kindle, and I have a tendency to forget about the books that are on my Kindle. But I found a really cool copy. It has this very like 1960s or 70s looking cover, and that is Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. And this is a short work. This is one of the original vampire stories, and I just love that cover. So I'm going to read it, finally. I've heard so much about this book, and everything I've read about vampires always reference it, and there's a movie about it, and for some reason I just haven't read it. I'm just being honest. Okay, week number three, cosmic horror. Okay, I was really happy that I remembered this book. Like I said, I didn't want to just do the standard Lovecraft, and I wanted to have a nice mix of classics and some maybe newer works. And so I remembered this book that Jason over at Jason's Weird Reads recommended. It sounded great. I bought it, and then I just never read it. And that is Experimental Film by Gemma Files. And the only reason I know this is a cosmic horror, or at least is classified, is I did a quick Google search because I was desperate for things besides Lovecraft. So let's see what this says. There are some things which should never be looked at because they look back. Oh, okay. Fired at almost the same time as her son Clark's autism spectrum disorder diagnosis, former film critic turned teacher Lois Cairns is caught in a depressive downward spiral, convinced she's a failure who spent half her adult life writing about other people's dreams without ever seeing any of her own come true. One night, Lois attends a program of experimental film and emerges convinced she's seen something no one else has. A sampled piece of silver nitrate silent film footage whose existence might prove that an eccentric early 20th century socialite who disappeared under mysterious circumstances was also one of Canada's first female movie makers. Okay, it sounds great so far. I'm not really feeling the cosmic horror, but I'm going to read it anyway, and I'm hoping that it will kind of turn into that. Either way, it sounds like a really good book. Okay, what else? And lastly, for folk horror, I thought I would just go with Children of the Corn by Stephen King. It's a short story included in the Night Shift collection. Okay, so that is my TBR. I'm excited. I can't wait for May to start. And in the meantime, till May starts, I'm going to be finishing up the Logan series. I read book 2, and I'm probably going to read the next book before I do a review. So let me know in the comments below if you are participating in Horror Mayhem, or if you have any suggestions for these prompts. I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye!